everyone, today we're going to talk about crochet symbol charts. Crochet symbol charts are a visual representation of crochet stitches. Each stitch has its own symbol, and these symbols are actually internationally recognized, which means that you should be able to crochet in any language as long as there is a chart and you know what each symbol stands for. This is a chart of commonly used crochet stitches for 1 and 2 company crochet patterns, and we'll go over these a little bit. Just looking down the list, you can see that each one kind of looks like the stitch it represents. We'll start here. The start and the end of the pattern in a diagram will be labeled. The start will be an open arrow, and an end will be a solid arrow. A slip stitch is shown with a solid small oval. A chain is shown with a bigger open oval, which kind of looks like a chain. A single crochet is shown with an X. Sometimes in other patterns it's shown as a plus, but for 1 and 2 company crochet patterns we're going to go with an X. This symbol means putting 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, so it's an increase. You would make 1 single crochet twice in that stitch. The capital T, or what looks like a capital T, is a symbol for a half double crochet. It actually looks like a half double crochet and shows that you only yarn over once when you're doing that. A double crochet stitch symbol looks like the half double crochet, only it has this addition of a little diagonal slash across it. So if you actually look at a double crochet stitch and the symbol, it looks like that, and you yarn over twice, and that's why there's 2 lines here. A triple crochet stitch is the same T formation, only it has 2 diagonal lines. So you would yarn over twice, and it would look like this when you actually look at your stitch. Single crochet 2 together looks like this. So it's just the inverse of this one. You will do 1 single crochet stitch over 2 stitches. So it's a decrease. When you see this little symbol, kind of looks like a smiley face, I think. This is where you will add a new yarn. This symbol is a 3 triple crochet cluster, meaning you will do 3 triple crochets joined at the top in 1 stitch. So you would make, it'll count as 1 stitch, but it's comprised of 3 triple crochets. This is a 2 double crochet cluster, meaning you would do 2 double crochets in a cluster form in 1 stitch. Crochet symbol charts can be worked in the round or in rows, and we'll discuss rows first. When working a crochet symbol chart in rows, you'll work from the bottom up, going back and forth in a zigzag as you work your way up the pattern. Each row is often colored so that you can keep track of your stitch count and also your row count. It keeps things much neater and tidier. Stitches should appear in columns so that you can see where your next stitch should be placed. It also helps with visualization. Your stitches, the diagram of your stitches actually kind of looks like your stitches. So for this diagram, this is the spring flower blanket, and it is free on the 1 and 2 company crochet blog. You'll see that these groups of stitches actually look like little flowers, and when you have your finished product done, you can see that this section matches this section matches this section, and so on. It looks very similar to what your product looks like. The other thing that you'll notice in a crochet symbol chart working in rows is that you'll often see the repeat highlighted. So for this particular pattern, the spring flower blanket, this is where your repeat is. It's from here to here. And this is helpful if you wanted to make your finished project bigger or smaller than the pattern actually dictates. So we'll work through this chart for a few rows just so you get a basic idea of how to read this. So find the beginning. Here is our arrow. So this is where we're going to start. For this pattern, this is just a sample of the pattern. You'll chain 40 for the sample, but for the actual pattern itself, you'll chain 130. So you'll make your chains. Notice the symbol for chain all the way across here. And then you will do a double crochet in the 5th chain from the hook. And then you'll do 4 more double crochets in the next 4 chains. The turning chain for this pattern always counts as a stitch. So keep that in mind as you're working. After you've made your 5 double crochets, you'll chain 4 skip 3 chains, and do a 3 triple crochet cluster in the next chain. Then you'll chain 4, skip 3 chains, and in the next 11 chains, do 11 double crochets, 1 in each chain. Then chain 4, skip 3 chains, do a 3 triple crochet cluster in the next chain, chain 4, skip 3 chains, and do 6 double crochets in the last 6 chains. That's your foundation row. Obviously, for the full-size pattern, it's going to be much longer, but for this sample, that's what you get. And if you look down here, you can see that that's what we have right here. For row 2, you will chain 3, which counts as a stitch, and do a double crochet in the next double crochet and in the next. So you'll have 3 double crochets right here at the beginning. Then, this is where it looks a little complicated. You will do 4 chains, and then back in this 3rd double crochet that you made to start, you'll do 2 treble crochet cluster. And it ends up looking like this. So it basically makes a flower petal. Then you will skip 3 double crochet from row 1, skip 3 of the chains from this section right here, and then you'll do a single crochet in that next chain, a single crochet in the top of your 3 triple crochet cluster, a single crochet in your next chain. Then you'll notice that flower petal comes back into play. You'll do 4 chains, and back in that single crochet, you'll do another 2 triple crochet cluster, Then you will skip those 3 chains and 3 double crochet from your first row, and you'll make 5 double crochets in the next 5 double crochets from row 1. After you've made your 5 double crochets, you will chain 4 and do a 2 triple crochet cluster in that 5th double crochet. Skip 3 double crochets from row 1, skip 3 chains from row 1, and do a single crochet in the chain in the top of the triple crochet cluster and in the next chain, and then you're going to make another one of those flower petals. So chain 4 and do a 2 triple crochet cluster back in that single crochet, skip 3 chains, skip 3 double crochets, and do a double crochet in each of your last 2 double crochets and in the top of your turning chain. And that completes row 2, which is right here. For row 3, what you'll do is chain 3. That counts as a stitch. Do a double crochet in each of those other 2 double crochets, and then you'll chain 6, skipping over that whole petal. Then you'll do a single crochet in each of the single crochets that you just made from row 2. Chain 6 more, skip that petal, 5 double crochets, 1 in each of the 5 double crochets from row 2. Chain 6, skip the petal, 1 single crochet in each of the single crochets from the other row. Chain 6, skip that petal, and 3 double crochets in the last 3 double crochets of row 2. Remember that first stitch does count as a stitch, so your last double crochet of row 3 will go into the turning chain of row 2. For the final row of this stripe, for this pattern we are working in stripes, and each stripe is made of 4 rows. For the last row of this stripe, we will turn and chain 3, and we will do 5 double crochets, 1 in the 2 double crochets from this group of 3, and 1 in the next 3 chains of that chain 6 from row 3. Then you will do 3 chains, skip 3 chains from row 3, and do a triple crochet cluster right in the middle of those 3 single crochets from row 3. You'll skip another single crochet and 3 chains when you've chained 3, and then you're going to go back and make 11 double crochets across 3 chains from that 6 chain, the 5 double crochets, and 3 more chains. Then you'll chain 3, skip 3 chains and a single crochet, and in the middle of this one, you will do a 3 triple crochet cluster, chain 3, skip your single crochet and 3 chains, and make 6 double crochets to the end. So 3 in the chains from this 6 chain group, 1 in each of the next 2 double crochets, and 1 in the top of that turning chain. And then you have that first completed stripe of color. You can continue following the pattern on as you go. So for the next row, you'll turn chain 4 and do a triple crochet in that same stitches join, in the same stitches you're chaining. Then you will skip 1, 2, 3 double crochets, chain 4, and across your 2 double crochet, 3 chain, triple crochet cluster, 3 chain, and next 2 double crochets, you'll do 11 double crochets. Chain 4, skip 3 double crochets, 3 double crochet cluster in the middle of this 11 double crochet group from row 4, chain 4, skip 3 double crochets, and then over the last 2 double crochets, chain 3, triple crochet cluster, chain 3, and 2 double crochets, you'll make 11 more double crochets. Chain 4, skip 3 double crochets, and in your top of your turning chain, you'll do a 2 triple crochet cluster. So you just keep working back and forth across your rows, following the symbols. If you forget, they're always in a chart right down at the bottom of your pattern, back and forth until you've met the end of your pattern. This particular pattern is made up of following the pattern for stripes 2 and 3 until you get to the desired length. Here is the completed sample of stripes 1, 2, and 3, and again, it looks very, very similar to what the chart looks like. Crochet symbol charts in the round can either be done without joins or with joins, as you can see here. This pattern has joins, this one works in a spiral. We're going to start with the spiral first. The first thing you need to do when you have a crochet symbol chart pattern is to find where your stitching starts. So again, for 1 and 2 company crochet patterns, our start is this open arrow, and you'll see that right here. This also tells you the direction to work your work in. So like all patterns that work in the round, for this, we are going to work counterclockwise. This is a right-handed pattern. So the first part of this pattern tells us that we will do 6 single crochets in the magic ring. And I've made a color-coded sample here to go along with it. You'll notice with this pattern and many other patterns in the round that each round is a different color on your chart. And that is really helpful when it comes time to count your stitches or count your rows. It helps keep everything really organized and clean looking. So again, here's our middle, and we're going to do 6 single crochets in a magic ring for our start. And we have that here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For the next round, you'll see, if you remember, that we will be doing a 2 single crochet increase in each stitch. So there will be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 stitches going around. You're going to increase in each one of these original 6 stitches from your magic ring. And I show that here with some blue. The next round also has an increase, but it also has a single crochet 1. So you're going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 2 in the next, 1 in the next, then 2, all the way around until you have 18 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And you can see that here with the green. Now if you look at the next 3 rounds, you'll see that there are no single crochet increases or decreases. So you're just going to work 1 single crochet into each single crochet around. So you'll have 3 rounds of 18 stitches total. And you can see that here. There's an orange round. Here's where we joined. 18 around, a purple round of 18 around, and a gold color of 18 around. Now, this seems to be the end of this pattern. And what if you remember from your chart, this one has a decrease. So you're going to single crochet in your first stitch and decrease over the next 2 for a total of 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You can see that here in this turquoisey color. So for this sample pattern, this is the end of this set of directions. So always look for where you end, and here's where you end on your last stitch, end. And what you'll do here is either finish off and weave in your end, or leave a long tail if you were going to sew this to something else, like if it was a head or a tail or something. You can also work in the round with joined rounds. And this pattern is fun. It looks a little complicated because there's a lot of chaining and a lot of crochet clusters, but it's just as easy as following something in rows or in non-joined rounds. Again, first thing you have to do is find your center and your starting point. And our starting point is here. And this says that we are going to chain 1 and do 6 single crochets in our magic ring. I've got that here in red. After we've got our 6 single crochets in our magic ring, we're going to slip stitch to join. And that takes care of our first round. For this round, then you'll notice we switched to blue. We are going to do a chain 2 and a double crochet, chain 3, and a 2 double crochet cluster right in that same first stitch. You can see that here. Here's our chain, double crochet, chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster. And you're going to follow that pattern all the way around into each stitch. 2 double crochet cluster, chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster, 2 double crochet cluster, chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster, 2 double crochet cluster, chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster, 2 double crochet cluster, chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster, 2 double crochet cluster, chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster. So for this round you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chain 3 spaces, which you can see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then again, here's our symbol for slip stitch. We're going to slip stitch to that first double crochet. We're going to chain 1 and single crochet in that same stitch. Then you are going to chain 3 and do a double crochet cluster, 2 double crochet cluster in that same first single crochet. Then you're going to skip. You're going to put a single crochet in your chain space and then chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster inside this same single crochet. So it kind of goes in the side a little bit. Then you're going to skip your first set of double crochet, 2 double crochet cluster, go to your next set, single crochet in the top of that one, chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster right inside that single crochet. Single crochet in your chain space, chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster in that single crochet. Skip your next 2 double crochet cluster from the previous round and single crochet into the top of the next 2 double crochet cluster from previous round. Chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster inside that single crochet that you just made. Single crochet in your chain space, 3 chain, 2 double crochet cluster inside that single crochet you just made. Skip your previous 2 double crochet cluster, single crochet in the top of the next 2 double crochet cluster from the previous round, chain 3, 2 double crochet cluster inside that single crochet, and you follow that pattern all the way around, and you end up with 12, I used green in this case, 12 little green petals for this flower motif. Once you get back to your starting point, you'll see that you have to once again join with a slip stitch. And remember that this little solid arrow means that this is the end of this pattern. So what you will do here is fasten off, weave in your end, or leave a long tail for sewing this onto something else later. A few final notes on working a pattern from a chart of symbols. Remember to always, always, always check to make sure that your pattern has a symbol chart at the bottom. For 1 and 2 company crochet patterns, there will always be one in the corner or somewhere on your diagram. Another thing to do is practice reading these in just any chart form. Just look at a chart and say, oh, well, that's a slip stitch, that's a chain, single crochet, and keep getting familiar with these terms and these symbols. Another thing you should always do is practice working from a chart that also has written directions. So 1 and 2 company patterns are actually really great for that because the beginning of the pattern starts out with the written direction, but if you continue to flip through towards the end of the pattern, you'll always find a chart to help you out with that. And you can go back and forth and reference to see where your stitches should go. And that's a really great thing about symbols and charts, is because you can see that your single crochet goes in the next double crochet, but then you skip 2 more. It's a visual representation of what you're looking at and what you're trying to make. Always, always, always use a stitch counter unless you really don't like using them, I guess. That way you can keep track of where you are and what you're doing, because with a chart, you don't have words in front of you to say how many stitches are in each round, or row. It's just easier to keep your way and find yourself using a stitch marker. Another thing to remember about diagrams is that for the most part, they are written for someone who is right-handed. You can find left-handed patterns, but for the most part, you're going to find out that charts are written for people who are right-handed, not left-handed. I hope you enjoyed this and found it informational, and have fun.